Well, hello, and welcome to Opal City Confidential, a Starman podcast, episode 37. And I'm going to be talking about Starman Volume 1's 13 and 14, the next two issues in the Will Payton Starman series, which I'm enjoying the heck out of. So, let's get started. Starman Volume 1, Issue 13, was published on the 29th of June, 1989. Editing, Brian Augustin. Editor Emeritus, Robert Greenberger. It has never been reprinted. A great Tom Lyle cover. I'm loving his covers more and more. It's just kind of weird looking at, in a late 80s comic and like the colors and the way the colors looked back then. Because I'm reading them in the floppies because I bought a whole run because I'd never read it. So this issue, it's got a great cover. It's got Rampage, the Superman villain, the post-crisis Superman villain, who I've always liked, and I've always kind of wished he'd get wanted to be one of those secondary characters that got promoted to like a team book. I always thought she'd be neat on some team. You have some that have their own characters in a team that have their own book, and then you have characters that just kind of fill out the roster, so you have someone to play with that doesn't have another book tied to them. So this issue is called Ghosts and Monsters, written by Roger Stern, woohoo. Pencils by Tom Lyle, The Amazing Inks by Bob Smith, colors Michelle Wolfman, letterer Bob Pinaha. So this one had the characters in it are Starman, Rampage, and Parasite. Well, since Grand Comic Book Database doesn't have a wonderful one-sentence synopsis, it's basically Rampage has moved to in her secret identity. Look, I'll have to remember. I can never remember her first name. Dr. Faulkner, Karen Lou Faulkner. She was one of Byrne's new Superman villains per se. She wasn't really a villain. She was a star scientist who was given powers. She first appeared in, let me see this, Superman Volume 2, Number 7, 1987. The last appearance, Superman 686, 2009. Oh, that's sad. They don't use her anymore. I liked her as a character. I thought she'd be a good, like, one, in team books, like as I said, you join up, you bring in characters that you can play with. But she's great. She moves to Arizona and becomes a semi-regular in Starman, and this is the first big appearance with her. It's a great comic. I really enjoyed it. This book is really firing on all cylinders. If I was a new fan reading this, and I was getting to the 13th, his 13th issue, this would have been a book that would move to the top of my pull pile. I mean, it would be read quickly and when I got home, because it's just great. This one starts with a jet plane making emergency landing in the Basin Range country of southwest Arizona, a lonely land, as it says in the text. The pilot jumps out. He's thinking to himself, not the best landing, but at least I remembered enough to get her down in one piece. Wonder where I am. Aha. I think Star Labs has a plant in Phoenix, so he's 43 miles outside of Phoenix. There's a sign. He's walking away with the rest, and he's thinking to himself, that's a bit of a walk, but I don't mind. If my luck holds, I'll find 4 more souls as helpful as my co-pilot. And you can see in the pan that the co-pilot is nothing but a skeleton. And then we cut to Will's back porch, and his sister Jane's coming out, and he's talking about, I've got this stuff on my mind about, it's an accident. I am who I am. Dr. Melrose was using this experiment to power his superheroes, who Will correctly calls goons, and he got the power. And then we get a little flashback of how he found out he wasn't truly human anymore. He had been changed by the experiment, that even the gene bomb during the invasion treated him as if he wasn't human. And he kind of talked about it a little bit with Manhunter and Superman. And Superman said, pointed him towards Star Labs. So this is where he's going to go. And we see Miss Dr. Faulkner working out at Star Labs. She's wearing the vest that holds her powers in check. Her and her assistant are talking about different things at the lab and how, Superman's returned. This is probably when he was in exile and Perez was doing the book. She goes on a date with Mr. Lehman. Oh, no. I thought this was a date when I read this. It's not. It's a business dinner. And he's Mort from about a prototype. And then Carol and Will and Jane and the cop that she met at the accident are on a double date. And it's going pretty well. But the man in the pilot is looking over a cliff down into Phoenix. And in the sports car, there are two skeletons. So whoever this person, he's draining the energy. The couple's split up. Carol really wants Will to come and work for her at the gallery, and he's thinking about it, But he's also, he's thinking about how can I have a girlfriend, He wants to help her, but he's got a super, it's just the comic book angst, and it's working really well. Stern's writing it well. Faulkner comes back to the lab at night and finds two skeletons. She's freaking out. She calls the cops. Jane's cop boyfriend drives off to go respond to the call, and so does Will. He tears off his clothes and turns into Starman. And Jane walks in and on Paul, and Paul, who is their mom's boyfriend, are hanging out, and her mom has a little fight. Jane's lamenting, where's her brother, where's her date? They're both workaholics. Well, your brother's a superhero and your new boyfriend's a cop. Starman gets to the complex. He finds the two dead bodies. He flies in, and there is Rampage. Dr. Faulkner has grown into full Rampage form, and he thinks it's Samantha from the Elite. He thinks it's a trick. But they get into a fight, and Rampage is trying to explain it all. And she says, I've had enough. And she grabs him, and then he starts soaking up her energy. She's just trying to have a conversation, and it's, he's using his powers on her. I don't know what that's supposed to do. Oh, he's trying to make himself hot. Yeah. But then the pilot jumps on her, and it starts absorbing the power, and you see that he is the Parasite, and he grows to super height, and Dr. Faulkner is shrunk down to human form. Starman saves her, and it was just him explaining how she became Rampage real quick, but Parasite's a giant, and he grabs Starman, and Starman keeps releasing all the energy, and he keeps pouring the energy on Parasite, and Parasite's going, it's just going to make him stronger and stronger and stronger. And then Dr. Faulkner goes, feed him more. Don't ask, just do it. No more. Nick, get away from me. I don't have her regulator harness. So he's given her so much power, he's absorbed her power. So her powers are acting in him. And the more power, the less control she has. And he doesn't have the regulator suit. And he melts down into a pile of green ooze, which gets sucked up into a big tube. Faulkner explains everything. And they have a little more. She says she's going to reach out to Superman. He'd be a very good trainer. And it ends with the cliffhanger because next issue, Superman appears. Again, these comics are good. What I liked about it, one, the art. Tom Lyle and Bob Smith art gets better and better and better and better. It has a little bit of I'll put it this way. His cover with Superman, I really thought it was a George Perez cover on the next issue. This one I could tell was Lyle, but he's just getting better and better. We're getting secondary characters. I like a little soap opera in my comics. We're getting it. It's well done. Roger Stern, I think, builds relationships with the character very well. Does he ever kind of go crazy and break the mold? No. But he, like Fabian Nietzsche and Kurt Busiek and Roy and Englehart, he just writes the perfect kind of balance of soap opera and superhero that hits my buttons. Pushes them. Great. It's a great issue. The fight scene's good. She has, it's a little talky for you you youngins, but I think it works because it builds character development. There's a mystery. Who is this guy? I had never read the issues, so I was like, wow, great. It's the Parasite, this big bad. This is a mainstream villain of Superman's. I like Rampage, and I think she's going to be amazing in this book. I think I knew she was in it. I doing my homework before, and I kind of always liked her as a character. And I'd seen her in other titles, and I like this. I like her being make her a hero, make her one of the superheroes of Phoenix. Build, which I don't know. I mean, I'm early on, but they're building this mythos of this superhero of him. Add more superheroes, like Opal City does in the next Starman. He adds people, Elongated Man and his wife, Phantom Lady, Black Condor. All these other heroes come into the city, and they have, Bebo. There's all this stuff going on. It's great. And I think that's what's working in this one. I really like the soap opera of the sister and her cop boyfriend. Like the last episode, I talked about his friend, his friend who's a fireman, and his wife who runs the gym that he was helping out. You've got Carol, his girlfriend, who runs the gallery. You've got his mom and her boyfriend. They're talking in the next issue. They're going to talk about his Jane and Will's dad. See, all this stuff that fleshes out the characters come together. It's what I like in this era of comics, is the soap opera mixed with a good balance of action, a little flashback so a new reader can come in. We get a flashback. What's Will talking about? I've never bought an issue of Starman. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Maybe I go back and find the comics. And when these were coming out, man, it was go to the comic shop, get back issues. I was one of those back issue guys. Like, I kind of envious of Pete and Dave from Earth 2 podcast, because they've got their notebooks with their checklist. I find that amazing. I don't have that room, and I don't have that kind of luxury for me anyway. I just can't do that. But I love it. I love hearing that. I remember that little tweak. And this is a book that I would have read I would have picked up this issue, going, oh, Rampage is in it, read it, and gone, wow, this is real. Oh, it's Roger Stern. Let me go back and get the other 12 issues. That's how good this is. So let's move on to 14, because I'm just rambling about that. I went over it again, how good it is, but 14's just as good. So this issue came out on the 3rd of August, 1989. It was cover dated September 1989. It has a great Tom Lyle cover. It looks very George Perez. His Superman really reminds me of his Superman, Perez's Superman, which is about the time when this was coming out. Edited again by Brian Augustine, Robert Greenberger, editor. This has never been reprinted. Again, the exact same creative team: Roger Stern, Tom Lyle, Bob Smith, Michelle Wolfman, Bob Hanna. Great comic. It is titled Look Up in the Sky. Of course it is. It's a 22-page story. Suddenly Superman. That's what it says. It says Stern, Lyle, Smith, Starman, and then suddenly Superman. And it's just a great cover. Again, Tom Lyle rocking it. So this issue is Will Payton, Superman, and the Parasite. They battle the Parasite again. It's a 2-part story. I'm glad I've got these synced up where I'm getting both parts of the story. And I might try that. If I get a 3-parter, we may get 3 issues in an episode. But it's good. Again, these books, for some reason, are not popularized in the wikis. No one's actually written synopsises for it. But this one, main character is Starman, guest star Superman, Jane Marie Payton. That is his sister Marie Payton, Kitty Faulkner, Parasite. It's set in Phoenix. And no weird trivia. But let's kind of go through this like the other one. It starts with Superman flying over Phoenix, saying hello, and he's singing Up, Up, and Away. Oh, no, wait a minute. The window is singing The Beautiful Balloon, Up, Up, and Nice world, a better place, my beautiful balloon. It wears a nicer face in my beautiful balloon. Can we sing and sail along the silver sky? And then Superman joins in, for we can fly up, up, and away. And he says morning. That is a great, great beginning for a Superman guest spot. He flies over the state capitol. They have a dome, which is good as they're building. Stern's showing us, introducing us to a real place, Washington Street. Real landmarks in Phoenix. I love it. There's a Star Lab. Kitty is testing Starman, and Superman comes in and introduces himself. Superman's happy to see his friend, Kitty, and Starman is happy to see Superman again after their shared adventure in the invasion. And then the guys on the scaffolding outside Star Lab, it collapses, and they both fly out and rescue people. Superman, using his some electrical wires are cut. He melts the cables back together and everything. And, Complete. Superman goes, X-rays revealed some serious defects in the scaffolding supports. I'd be happy to countersign any complaints if you file against the manufacturer, Mr. Schaefer. Oh, that would be incredible. I can't thank you enough, Superman. Superman knows how to fight the litigious battle. It's like, do you think his secret identity? He was a lawyer. That's kind of cool. I've never seen that in a comic where he says he'll, it's great. He's just in. He goes, I'm just glad he was here. Amen to that, says Kitty. And Starman thinking to himself, he makes it look so easy. Oh, well, at least I'm not the only one who gets tongue-tied around him. And thanks, Superman. It's been a darn good thing you were here around, Superman. If not, those workmen would have been headed for the emergency ward now. Emergency ward. I've never called it that. Maybe it's Stern's Canadian, and that's it. We call them emergency departments now, but back then they've been the emergency room, ER. Superman's eyes on. Don't fault yourself for not having superhearing. Develop your own talents. That'll make most of what you are. And Kitty goes, precisely, after all. You want to be a first-rate Starman, not a second-rate Superman. Sounds like good advice to me, said Superman. Okay, but how? I'm still pretty much a rookie when it comes to tackling guys like the Parasite. Superman, Parasite? The Parasite caused our damage, Superman. He's a former Star employee who has accidentally transformed into an energy lead, living off the life forces of others. He blames everyone connected with Star for what happened to him. About a week ago, he escaped from a Pittsburgh study center. And then we get a flashback of what happened last issue, and Kitty shows Superman where he's in a big tube because of cellular degradation. And him and Starman, Starman's like, it still gives me the creeps. So they're getting out of there, Superman, and then what we see when they leave the room is two eyeballs appear two like drawn eyeballs flashing is to let us know that the muck is alive. We cut to Jane, who's like all pissed off because her brother, you beast, going off to hobnob with stupid without giving your only sister a chance to meet him. You might never have become Starman, and she hadn't made the costume for him, which I think is funny. She's going through closets. She's going to get some binoculars, and she finds old pictures of her mom and dad. And she shows her mom one of the ones she found. It's her mom and dad on their wedding day, and how beautiful he is. And her mom freaks the F out and tears the picture in half. She wants no pictures of that man in her house. And as she leaves, she goes, "Damn you, Ray! I swear you'd never make me cry again." Because the way she hates them, because the way they treated them. We don't know that yet. We're going to find out soon. I kind of know ahead that Will's dad will make an appearance. And again, that character development. Why not give Mom and Sis some time? Because knowing Mom and Sis allows you to know Will better. And I think it's building a great world. And I'm loving it more and more. Him and Superman just continue to have conversations about Superman telling me how he got some training before he had powers to make sure he could fight. And, he offers to spar with him. And he goes, pointers? You mean you want to spar with me? Asked Superman. Well, yeah. All right. I might learn something as well. But just remember, this was your idea. Wham! And he punches Starman and it flies him off guard. And Starman's going, wow, really caught me off guard. He may not be as big as Blockbuster, but he's at least as strong and much faster. Let's see if he's as fast enough to duck a good hard right. Yep. He's like, how did I miss him? Do I have to go shoot? Whoa! And then Superman swings, but Superman goes, nice dodge, but you left yourself open. Better, good, recovery. And it says Starman puts up his arms to block Superman. Blocking your vision, it's not good. He's helping him. Starman throws a really good punch, and Superman catches it and then chucks him into the lake. And Superman's thinking, wow, how did he do that? I didn't even see him move. I'm glad nobody else is around to see this. I can imagine the headlines. Local Starman, not so hot. And then Superman lands. He goes, sorry about that, Starman, but those are the kinds of moves you have to anticipate if you want to keep your opponent off balance. He can turn the tables, and Starman changes his face to look like Superman, freaks Superman out. He grabs Superman by the hand and flips him. And Superman just laughs, and he goes, oh, that's fantastic. I didn't know you could alter your features. Can you make yourself look like anybody? I guess. I've never really practiced on you. You definitely should. That's an ability to come to your advantage. And then Superman hears something and goes, wait, let's go. And they fly off. and he flies back to Star Lab. Kitty is tied up to a chair, and Parasite is waiting, and he absorbs some of Superman's power, and it's a bit too much. It's everything. He's got X-ray vision, super hearing. It's all overwhelming him. And then he sees Starman, and he is happy because he wants to kill Starman. And he just jumps out of the building and leaps like Superman would leap, and it's just trying to beat the hell out of Starman. And he thinks he killed Starman, so he just loses it, and he bats him away with a left, flies up. Parasite happens to have some fighting skills, so they're duking it out. Superman's coming too. He releases Kitty. He's only got half his strength because Parasite's got the other half, and he's trying to make his way to the battle. And the fight's still going, and then Starman's getting in some licks. And that's when Superman crushes him with a boulder, so not to get close. And then Parasite leaps to sap Superman's power, and then Starman tackles him. And it's something about Starman. He's not a living thing, so it's not working. His powers aren't working. So eventually he knocks him unconscious with a headbutt, and they take him back to Star Labs, and he's putting in, standard sci-fi prison tube. There's nothing else to start. He's thermonuclear or whatever. He can't have his thing. Starman goes, Starman, I can't. Superman's going, Starman, I can't know what it is to like to undergo the changes you have. But consider this. You were invulnerable to the parasite's power, and that puts you one up on me. Yeah, that's true. I need a couple of days in the sun to fully recover the parasite energy drained away. Cloudy it is back east. That may take weeks, she laughs. And he goes, oh, hey, sunlight, I got plenty of. And he starts recharging Superman. Again, another great one. It's just when you could buy a comic. God, it's not like a great. It was a great comic. You could pick it up. You knew if you hadn't read the last part, you would have understood it. It's a great dynamic. I like this version of Superman. I like this era of Superman a great deal, especially when I like the Byrne Superman. I'm not going to apologize to that. But when he leaves and it's like Louise Simonson, Stern, Dan Jurgens, Marv Wolfman, Jerry Ordway, John Bognovi, Kerry Kimmel. It's just, the book's rocking on all cylinders. And I think it's a very good version of Superman. And I like this team up. I'm really kind of sad that this Starman didn't make it past his 45 issues in that. Wonderful. His finale is great. I love that Eclipse event. But this is such a good book. I'm enjoying it so much. Guys, I haven't posted in a week. It's just work. It's insane. I'm not even trying to explain it. I didn't even post much this week because I just didn't have the energy. I was just beat. And I read the comics a couple times. This is Sunday, and I'm going to post this a couple hours after I'm done editing it, or a couple hours after I'm done recording it, just so I can have the mental health. Part of podcasting is for me reading these comics, cleansing my brain of all the stress and all the other stuff, and talking about something I love and getting animated, good or bad. It purges that negative energy, and it's great. Comic books are a great mental health tool. This is a great series. It is on the app. Read it. I can't wait to read the next two. I'm going back to Jack, though, because it's Jack and Ted. We're going back to Jack and Ted. And I'm kind of excited about that. And we're starting a new arc with Jack. I'm really excited about that because we just finished a really momentous story, and the next story is just as good. So in 2 weeks, another Jack and Ted episode, and then another week, Jack and Ted, and then in 2 weeks, issues 15 and 16 of the Will Payton Starman series, which I'm adoring. There'll be some Legion coming up. There is a Danger Street episode 10 is going to be coming up. Another 4x4 is coming up, but I might be sporadic. May only get one thing up a week for a little bit until I can figure out downtime to do stuff. There's just a lot going on in my life, and my wife is very adamant that I podcast, but she's also adamant that I take time to decompress because work is so stressful, and it's putting it's just too much stress for any person. But I really want the job. I want it to be my last promotion. If you're 59, you should know this, that at some point you just have to have that last gig to get you over the hump, and this is my opportunity. So wish me luck, and I got to really focus on it. So there may be less podcasting. But folks, as always, thank you for listening. Any feedback would be nice. I don't really get a lot. Yeah, I am kind of begging. I'd love some more interaction. I get some from Kirby and some of the regulars, and the listeners like it and share the posts, and I really, really appreciate that. Please listen to Magazines of Monsters of Billy. Please listen to Fantastic Comic Fan with Ron. Listen to anything with Sean and Shag and all the folks from the Fire and Water podcast group. They have some great shows. I jump in and out. There's just so much stuff. The Checkered Past podcast, Untitled Star podcast, Hamster with a Blunt Penknife, Hamster with a Blunt Penknife podcast. For if you're a Doctor Who fan, I love it. I've been had the pleasure to be on it a couple times. Great podcast, and listen to my Gallifrey's Most Wanted podcast. We just posted the first episode in a few months. And next Sunday will be The Mutants, and the amazing Mark Cockrum from All of Time and Space will be my guest as we talk about that Third Doctor story. And I'm looking forward to having you hear it, because I have new respect for that story. But until then, folks, hey, be safe, be smart, be kind to one another. Please, please be kind to one another, and read some comics.